From before the earth, even the dawn of time, was the Word of God, and the Word was Christ. Yes, He made all things, whether great or small, no matter where we go, He is Lord of all. Jesus, Alpha and Omega, Jesus, wonderful Savior, who was and is to come, Son of God, the Holy One. Jesus, Alpha and Omega. At the end of time and for eternity, He has always been, and He will always be. Jesus, Alpha and Omega, Jesus, wonderful Savior, who was and is to come, Son of God, the Holy One. Jesus, Alpha and Omega. So we praise our God for everything He's done. Yes, the Lord Most High is the timeless one. Jesus, Alpha and Omega, Jesus, wonderful Savior, who was and is to come, Son of God, the Holy One. Jesus, Alpha and Omega. Jesus, Alpha and Omega, Jesus, wonderful Savior, who was and is to come, Son of God, the Holy One. Jesus, Alpha and Omega.
Hi everybody. So Ellie and I here decided we would play a game with you, see how this goes. So the object of this game is just to say what pops into your head first. It's called This or That. All right, and we're playing the Easter edition. So all you have to do is pick which would you rather do. Some of them are kind of hard, some of them are silly, but you just gotta tell everybody in the room what you think. Now make sure we take turns and don't just yell out. All right, so that way everybody can hear everybody else. All right, you ready, Ellie? She's ready. All right, the first one. Your choice. Color in a picture that is made for you, or draw your own picture. There's a lot of coloring books going around, and sometimes coloring books can be fun. I'm not sure which one I would do. I kind of like drawing my own picture, because then you get the whole blank paper, and you can be as creative. You can draw a tree, you can draw the sky. I'm pretty good at stick figures, though, so maybe that's part of it. Ellie likes drawing in colors, or she likes drawing in the picture. So she's not very good at staying in the lines though. All right. Would you rather go swimming or ride your bike? Ellie loves swimming. She's not so good at the bike riding. I like riding my bike, but I do like swimming. Oh, this is so tough. I think swimming. We agree, swimming. All right. What'd you guys say? Yeah, I thought so. All right, next. All right, this is for everyone, for kids worship. All right, sing Jesus is my superhero or sing Making Melodies. Making Melodies is fun because you get but Jesus is my superhero is fun because you be Spider-Man, you be Batman, or Drive the Bus. Okay, yeah, that's why I didn't include that one, because everybody loves Drives the Bus. All right, last one. This is a big one. Would you rather, if you got one box of your favorite candy, or you let everyone else in the house get 2 boxes of their favorite candy? Which would you rather do? Now that's tough, because I like my favorite candy. Laffy Taffy, if it's all grape Laffy Taffy, oh, that'd be so good. I know Sarah, she loves the yellow Laffy Taffies, so it works out usually, because I'll give her the yellows and all that. But if I give her 2 boxes of yellow, or me 1 box of purple, that's tough. She's pretty happy when she gets the yellow Laffy Taffy, so I'd probably go with give her 2 boxes. All right, well, thanks for playing our game. hopefully Ellie enjoyed it as much as you did. All right, bye.
What's it like to feel humbled? Oh, that's not a word we use every day, but it's humbling when you receive a gift you didn't expect. It's humbling when someone says you don't have to pay, even though you messed up. It's humbling when your dad takes an entire day off of work just to spend it with you. It's humbling when you see an incredible sunset and realize that God handcrafted it with you in mind. Wow. Being humbled makes you feel small in a good way. It makes you feel grateful. When someone chooses to put you first like that, it can make your day. So why not do that for the people around you? You can choose to give up what you think you deserve to put others first. Let your sister pick the family movie even though it's your turn. Skip the pool party so you can hang out with your friend who broke his leg and can't go. Use some of your birthday money to help a family who doesn't have enough to eat. True humility is thinking of yourself less and others more. When you live your life with humility, you bring praise to God. You lift Him high because others can see God at work in you. That's why humility is an amazing way to worship God with your life. Because worship is about more than just singing loud. It's all about living loud.
So humility, that's what we're talking about today. One of my favorite verses that reminds me and helps me be humble is from Philippians 2. So let's read that together. If you have any encouragement from being united with Christ, if any comfort from His love, if any fellowship with the Spirit, if any tenderness and compassion, then make my joy complete by being like-minded, having the same love, being one in spirit and purpose. Do nothing out of selfish ambition or vain conceit, but in humility consider others better than yourselves. Each of you should look not only to your own interest, but also the interest of others. Your attitude should be the same as that of Christ Jesus. And here is really awesome because we have this opportunity where we are on this world, right? We're on this earth. We're with your family. You're with people at school. Everybody around us. And hopefully you're living in a way that they see Christ in you, right? And so here it's saying like, all right, whatever you're doing, here's Christ's example. And so we can look to the example of Christ, especially right now, right? We have Easter coming up this week. And we just want to encourage you guys to kind of think of what Christ did and how that affects our lives in a daily manner. So let's look at Christ's example of that. It says, who being in very nature God, did not consider equality with God something to be grasped, but made himself nothing, taking the very nature of a servant, being made in human likeness, and being found in appearance as a man, he humbled himself and became obedient to death, even death on a cross. Therefore God exalted him to the highest place, and gave him the name that is above every other name, that at the name of Jesus every knee should bow in heaven and on earth and under the earth, and every tongue confess that Jesus Christ is Lord, to the glory of God the Father. And I just love that imagery, right? That we can live in a way that shows honor to what Christ did, because He is God. And He could have stayed up in heaven and been like, this is awesome, yay, playing catch with His dad, hanging out with God in heaven. But He decided that we are worth it. And He left heaven and came to earth. And didn't come down and like, hey, everyone, worship me, serve me, do everything I say. You're all my servants and bring me more candy, bring me more food. I want to play kickball and I'm picking the teams. That wasn't what Christ did. He came and He said, all right, how can I build you up? How can I build you up? What can I do to serve you? And went around and did that everywhere He could. He humbled Himself and built others up. Right? And I love right before it, in verse 4, it says, each of you should look not only to your own interest, but also the interest of others. And so don't ignore yourself, right? If you're really thirsty and you need a drink of water, get a drink of water. Don't be like, oh, I have a cup of water. Who wants it? Who can I give water to? And just like splash it on somebody, right? Don't be wasteful. But at the same time, if you have this big gallon of water and the person beside you is really thirsty, maybe we could share the water, right? Now, don't drink it and pass it on. So Sarah drinks out of the milk jug. Shh, don't tell anybody. All right. So we don't want to do that, do we? No, that's gross. All right. But we want to make sure that we're following Christ's example. And this is a really great example to follow.
to be pleasing to you in everything I do. And I want to love you more than yesterday, more than words can say. 'Cause you gave your life, you lived and died for me, for me. You paid the price, you sacrificed for me, for me. Now the least that I can do is to live my life for you, live my life for you. Lord, I want to be pleasing to you in everything I do. And I want to love you more than yesterday, more than words can say. 'Cause you gave your life, you lived and died for me, for me. You paid the price, you sacrificed for me, for me. 'Cause you gave your life, you lived and died for me, for me. You paid the price, you sacrificed for me, for me. Now the least that I can do is live my life for you. Live my life for you.
Hi, everyone. I want to share a book with you today. It's one of my favorites. It's called The Tale of Three Trees. Once upon a mountaintop, three little trees stood and dreamed of what they wanted to become when they grew up. The first little tree looked up at the stars twinkling like diamonds above him. "I want to hold a treasure," he said. "I want to be covered with gold and filled with precious stones. I will be the most beautiful treasure chest in the world." The second little tree looked out at the small stream trickling by on its way to the ocean. "I want to be a strong sailing ship," he said. "I want to travel mighty waters and carry powerful kings. I will be the strongest ship in the world." The third little tree looked down into the valley below, where busy men and busy women worked in a busy town. "I don't want to leave this mountaintop at all," she said. "I want to grow so tall that when people stop to look at me, they will raise their eyes to heaven and think of God. I will be the tallest tree in the world." Years passed. The rains came. The sun shone, and the little trees grew tall. One day, three woodcutters climbed the mountain. The first woodcutter looked at the first tree and said, "This tree is beautiful. It's perfect for me." With a swoop of his shining axe, the first tree fell. Now I shall be made into a beautiful chest, thought the first tree. I shall hold wonderful treasure. The second woodcutter looked at the second tree and said, This tree is strong. It is perfect for me. With a swoop of his shining axe, the second tree fell. Now I shall sail mighty waters, thought the second tree. I shall be a strong ship, fit for kings. The third tree felt her heart sink when the last woodcutter looked her way. She stood straight and tall and pointed bravely to heaven. But the woodcutter never even looked up. Any kind of tree will do for me, he muttered. With a swoop of his shining axe, the third tree fell. The first tree rejoiced when the woodcutter brought him to a carpenter's shop. But the busy carpenter was not thinking about treasure chests. Instead, his work-worn hands fashioned the tree into a feed box for animals. The once beautiful tree was not covered with gold or filled with treasure. He was coated with sawdust and filled with hay for hungry farm animals. The second tree smiled when the woodcutter took him to a shipyard, but no mighty sailing ships were being made that day. Instead, the one strong tree was hammered and sawed into a simple fishing boat. Too small and too weak to sail an ocean or even a river, he was taken to a little lake. Every day he brought in loads of dead, smelly fish. The third tree was confused when the woodcutter cut her into strong beams and left her in a lumber yard. What happened, the once tall tree wondered. All I ever wanted to do was stay on the mountain top and point to God. Many, many days and nights passed. The three trees nearly forgot their dreams. But one night, golden starlight poured over the first tree as a young woman placed her newborn baby in the feed box. I wish I could make a cradle for him, her husband whispered. The mother squeezed his hand and smiled as the starlight shone on the smooth and sturdy wood. This manger is beautiful, she said. And suddenly the first tree knew he was holding the greatest treasure in the world. One evening, a tired traveler and his friends crowded into the old fishing boat. The traveler fell asleep as the second tree quietly sailed out into the lake. Soon a thundering and thrashing storm arose. The little tree shuddered. He knew he did not have the strength to carry so many passengers safely through the wind and rain. The tired man awakened. He stood up, stretched out his hand, and said, Peace. The storm stopped as quickly as it had begun, and suddenly the second tree knew he was carrying the King of heaven and earth. One Friday morning, the third tree was startled when her beams were yanked from the forgotten woodpile. She flinched as she was carried through an angry, jeering crowd. She shuddered when soldiers nailed a man's hands to her. She felt ugly and harsh and cruel. But on Sunday morning, when the sun rose and the earth trembled with joy beneath her, the third tree knew that God's love had changed everything. It had made the first tree beautiful. It had made the second tree strong. And every time people thought of the third tree, they would think of God. That was better than being the tallest tree in the world.
But even though we're celebrating a little differently than we have in past years, that's okay. Easter is still happy. And that's not just because of peep wars or Easter baskets or chocolate bunnies, although those things are awesome. It's still happy because of what happened thousands of years ago at the first Easter. It's the world's most powerful story, and yet it's so simple. So simple that it can be told with laundry.
In the beginning, God created everything. He formed people in His very own image. But then, we turned away from God. Sin entered the world, like a dark stain. Still, God loved us so deeply that He made a plan to rescue us. At just the right moment, God sent His very own Son, Jesus, to live among us. Jesus healed hearts and minds and bodies. Thousands gathered to hear Him teach. Instead of giving lots of new rules, Jesus turned things upside down by making it simple. Love God, love others. After 3 years of traveling and teaching, Jesus and His disciples entered Jerusalem to celebrate the Passover feast. Huge crowds gathered to welcome Him. But while the crowds cheered for Jesus, the religious leaders made plans to arrest Him. He was turning their world upside down, and they wanted Him gone. As Jesus celebrated the Passover meal with His friends, He told them that He would be leaving, but would return. His friends didn't understand. That night, one of Jesus' followers, Judas, led soldiers to arrest Him. The religious leaders gave Jesus a fake trial and then sent Him to Pilate, the Roman governor, who could have Him killed. Pilate found Jesus had broken no law and tried to release Him. But a mob called for Jesus to be killed. Pilate gave in and handed Jesus over to the Roman soldiers. Jesus was forced to carry the heavy beams of His own wooden cross. On a hill called Golgotha, the soldiers nailed Jesus' hands and feet to the rough wood. The soldiers and people who passed by laughed and mocked Him. But from the cross, Jesus asked God to forgive them. Finally, Jesus called out, "It is finished." Then He died. The earth shook. Rocks split open. Even the soldiers cried, "Surely He was the Son of God." One of Jesus' followers took His body and placed it in a tomb cut from the rock. A huge stone blocked the entrance. Jesus' friends were devastated. They had believed that Jesus was the one God promised, the one who would rescue them, but now He was gone. Their whole world had turned upside down. Jesus' friends stayed hidden in fear for 3 days. But early Sunday morning, Mary Magdalene, a close friend of Jesus, hurried to the tomb. She planned to anoint Jesus' body with special spices. As Mary neared the tomb, she saw the stone had been rolled away. The tomb was empty. Mary turned to see a man standing near. She didn't recognize him until he said, "Mary." It was Jesus, alive. Jesus told her, "Do not hold on to me. I have not yet ascended to the Father. Instead, go to those who believe in me." Jesus, God's Son, became like us to lay down His life. Through God's power, He defeated death for all of us, and sin was washed away. One day, He's promised to return, so we can live with Him forever.
All right, everybody, that's all we have for you this week, but make sure to come back next week for a new video on Easter. That'll be right after the church service video in the morning. So this will be released at 10:30. So if you want to watch that right after we listen to Trevor and Pastor Rick in the morning, you guys can do that next week. I'll be watching it at that time too. Just another announcement on Saturday. If your parents can drive by the church, we're going to have an Easter goodie bag pickup so they can just drive through the front of the church by the red doors. And Camille, Gretchen, and I will be there to hand those out. Gretchen and Camille have been working really hard to put those together for us, making sure they're clean and everything, and they're wearing masks. It's kind of funny. They look like bank robbers. So they're making sure that those are clean and ready for you guys so that way we can hand them out this weekend for you. But we miss you. Hopefully you guys enjoyed today, and hopefully we can see you soon. All right, thanks for watching. Bye.